welcome to this episode of the DJ Interview with your host, Harry the Big Dog.
And that be me. What's up, everyone? Harry the Big Dog here with the DJ Interview. Type in the chat where you are located and who you are so we can start this thing off real nice. So, yesterday, it was blazing out here. I'm in the Virginia area, and it was blazing. I mean, okay, it was 90-something. It wasn't like really hot, but it was hot enough. We got people checking in. What is up, Jeff? How you doing? We got Jason Hodge checking in. So let me talk about my guest that's coming up. I'm gonna just bring him on. This dude, he kind of help hip hop, and I'm gonna let him tell his story. So let's introduce Danny Easy D Dorhmann. What is going on, bro? Got that? Yeah.
Now, usually for me in post, I would put all kinds of claps and whatnot. How are you, man?
I am chilling. So, we got Jeff talking about California. The Valley was in the 90s. So I know I know they're gonna have some stories for you. So how are you doing first before we get into this?
I'm doing fine, man, and I appreciate you bringing me on board. As we said beforehand, I'm usually on your side of the house.
I know.
And so being on this end, well, it's interesting. It's going to be fun just from what we did before this show even started, checking the mic and whatnot. But I'm doing well, man. I'm just blessed every day and enjoying life.
That's good. So, Danny, Easy D Dorhmann, let everybody, I just told your name. Let everybody know who you are, and what you've started. When did you start this whole DJ / that guy role?
Okay, well, I am Danny Easy D Dorhmann. I was before all the other Easy Alphabet kids. I was there. I started out in '79 in Georgia. That was my first gig. And in 1984, I joined the Pros DJ pool of Oakland, California. And from there, oh my God, I've walked through concert halls and roamed all over Coliseum floors. It's just been like that for me. And the people I've helped, the people who remember me, the gigs I've done, it's for old school DJs, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And for your audience, it's an experience that is difficult to describe, but I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. Now, did I hear you talk about the military?
Yes. I was in the Army, and I was in Fort Gordon, Georgia. Went to the club in '79. You know, clubs were clubs, and I'm sitting there, I'm enjoying the music. DJ saw me enjoying the music. He called me up. He said, "Hey, man, you want to try?" I was like, sure, right? So it was Cameo, Michael Jackson, and Funkadelic. Those were my first three songs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, I spent 26 and a half years in the Army, so cool.
Oh, man. It's so funny. One of my stepkids just came out of basic training.
Wow.
I haven't spoken to him yet, but he spoke to my son, and he said, "I now understand your pops," because it's We could talk about DJing or we could talk about military. Either one I could talk about all day.
All day. So shout outs. I know you know some of these people. We got Jeff in the place to be. Jeff Kwan, what's up, bro?
My man.
We got DJ P Nice in the place to be. We got
Fellow
Jason.
brother.
We got Jason Hodge in the place.
And as you're announcing these people, what's really cool, and that's what I asked you about what got you started into this, is internet radio, regardless of the format, is such an enriching experience.
Yeah.
And I support anyone, any format, because if you have a www in front of your name, you're reaching the same amount of people, if not more, than any P1 radio on the planet.
Yep.
And this is just a venue that will increase. So for those fellow professionals that are coming in, I recommend maybe not doing a show, but don't let the limitation of P1 radio stop you, because there are 7 billion people out there waiting to hear you mix.
Yep. Now we got some people on here that's already. What's up, Seth? We have some people here already that is into the streaming and everything. My boy Jason, and you yourself. I've seen a couple of your shows, and we'll get into that in a few minutes. So let's go back to where this thing started. You said at ATL.
Yep. I started there. Real short time. It was more of a learning experience and nice way to meet females. I was in the Army, so when I got out, came here to Oakland, or the Bay Area rather, and I ran into a cat. His name was Rico Casanova. He was the founder of the Pros DJ Pool. And I'm sure somewhere in the broadcast, when you want to talk about pools, I'm all, man, boom. I will say, though, for those who don't know what a DJ pool is, at least in the early to mid 80s, we were the Pandora, we were the Spotify, we were the iTunes, with college radio, with nightclubs, and with P1 radio. We helped bring music from their respective towns. And other DJ pools too. My mentor keeps reminding me to say that. I still think it was just us. But we brought hip hop out of the Bronx. We brought house out of Chicago. We brought the Miami sound out of Miami. We brought the Dirty South up before it was even called the Dirty South. Right. And that's how a lot of these artists, and you see some of the pictures up on the wall. They're just a few of the cats that I'm proud to say I helped and got their presence known.
Do some name dropping, because we was doing that earlier.
Okay. Well, I'll point back here. There's Will Smith. I think that kid's going places. Same thing with this guy, James Todd. I think he's going to be okay. Let's see. There is Vanity, and anyone over the age of 40 knows who Vanity is.
Of course.
My sister. Climax, my boy Nasty Ness, Full Force. Boy, Jamie Foxx, Prince. Oh, and then we can just get into straight up hip hop. Eric B. and Rakim, Beastie Boys. On the West Coast, E40, Rappin' Forte, Hammer, NWA, who I performed with once upon a time. And I can't drop names like you, but I can drop a few.
I got a lot of names, but most of them are not at that status.
Most of the ones
Let me bend down and get these names.
Oh, and pick up those names. Yeah. Let me pick up those names I dropped. Hold on a second. Yeah.
Oh,
But and it's so cool to be able. I mean, I don't say this with any type of hubris. It's more humility, being able to say that the multi-Grammy Award winner, Paul Anthony of Full Force, I can call him and he'll pick up on about the third ring.
wow.
Um, the same thing if you want to talk about on the freestyle side. Betty D of Sweet Sensation, I can call her anytime. I mean, just to be able to say that
Right.
is remarkable to me. And I'm sure that there are fellow DJs out here who are meeting local talent, because all those names I dropped, they were all nobody once upon a time. And
At
I was
one
just
time, yep.
fortunate to catch them when they were on, the up. So y- you never know what cat you're going to run into. So make sure you show that cat some love.
Oh, show. So now, with these guys, you just dropped a lot of names. What did you do for them for the hip hop industry?
Well, what we did, I'll say Rico. When I say we, I talk about the pros. There were 75 of us. We had college radio, excuse me, a couple of P1 stations, and some of the biggest clubs here in the Bay Area. And what we would do is we would get this product from the East Coast, from these up and coming labels, Def Jam, Profile, Fourth and Broadway, MCA, Jive Records. They would send it to a DJ pool because it was easier to put that product in the hands of 50 people
Right.
than it would be to do onesie twosie. So we would get that product, we would listen to it, we would judge it. We had to put together a playlist that we would submit to Rico. Rico in turn would submit it to the various not radio stations, I'm sorry, the various record labels. And so that's how we kept that communication. For us, when we would have MCA, for example, and Lowell Silas, I love Lowell, rest in peace. He would ask, "Hey, we have this group, New Edition. Do you think they can come out and say a few words?" Sure. So they'd come out, whether it was they were already on tour or they were just doing a promotional thing, but they'd come to our shop on Grand Avenue in Oakland. And what I would do is I would interview them. We had local video stations out here, Soul Beat. There was one up in Fresno and one in Fairfield. And I would do video interviews with them. I'll be sure all the other names I dropped, and get to know them. So that's what separated us from the crowd.
Right.
But that also gave these artists an opportunity to reach out and actually touch fans. And so as that became more successful, then you had independent labels, up and coming labels on the East Coast, Fourth and Broadway, as I said, Dynamite, which I think came out of the Midwest. And then we had on the West Coast, you had Hammer and his label. You had, of course, Ruthless. And, we proved, especially with Hammer, we proved that we can bring a local act, an independent act, to a level where he signs a multi-million-dollar contract with Columbia. That's what the fruit of, independent artists, period, dot. The kids today, they really need to look back and talk to these folks, because there are folks who are still in the game. My boy Mac Mall still in the game. Sugar T still in the game. 40 still in the game. And as I try to tell these kids, if you've been in the game 30 years, they're doing something right.
Yeah.
So you ought to tap that knowledge while you can.
So let's talk about your DJ career. I don't know how long it was. I don't know how short it was, but let's talk about that and what you brought to that table.
Sure. Well, as I said, I started in 79. Um, I was blessed. I played at, in the Bay Area, the Palladium, Silks, let's see, down in San Mateo. I forgot the name of the club now. San Jose, I did a lot of work. In San Francisco, there was 1015 Daz Club. I did a bit of a stint at KMEL out in San Francisco. And then private parties, things like that. And I used to throw my own gigs too. I retired in 2001. And the reason for that was simple. My kids were becoming teenagers. I had to make a choice. Yeah, to either entertain masses or entertain my kids. So it was an easy choice for me.
Yeah. Wow. So from 79 to 81 to
2001.
2001. Oh, why did I say 81? Did you go out the country DJing?
No, that's the one thing I didn't do. It's funny though, because some of my proteges have played around the world, and they remind me when I do speak with them. It's humbling, not just when an artist remembers, but when a DJ who is, very well known, whether it's in the Bay Area or in your neck of the woods or whatever.
Right.
For me, it's humbling when a person comes up and says, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have been inspired to do this. So although I never played outside of the country, a lot of people who I helped inspire or teach, they have. So I live it vicariously.
Right. Nice. What other people, I thought I heard you say you played with NWA. What other artists or groups did you play with?
Well, with Sir Mix-a-Lot and my boy Nasty Ness. And
Shout outs to them.
A lot of artists who aren't really around anymore. Pebbles, that was actually her first performance that I did with her.
Wow. Freestyle.
Let's see. A couple with Hammer, and where I was the guest DJ. Onyx, they came out here. It was a quick tour, and I was able to jump on. Whoop whoop whoop. E40, we actually did a junior high school. That's how far back 40 goes. Wow. We were doing a junior high school when it was the Click, and 40, I think it was 40. He liked how my partner Don Medine did a certain cut, and he said, "Hey, can you do that for me? Put that cut in there." And so of course he, my boy. So those are the ones that come to mind. I haven't been as fortunate to be able to perform. I've hung out with a lot of them, right. But performance-wise, those were a few. Oh, I had Digital come up when I was spinning in Concord once. That was in 1990. Yeah, 92, I'm sorry. They had come up. Well, it was just, it was Shock and B Money. So, 3/4 of Digital came up that day and kicked it. That was a great time. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask something. You spent most of your time on the West Coast. Now, did they have a lot of local artists there initially that just didn't come out, or were you guys inspired by, like you said earlier, the music from the Bronx?
Well, we had, of course, Too Short, for example. Too Short had been around since 84, 85. But you didn't really hear of him until 88, 89. Same thing with E40. Same thing actually with Hammer. When I first met Hammer, he, I think I put it up in storage, but he gave me his 12-inch single. He gave me his video, And, it was like, hey, do you want 3/4 inch? Do you want regular VHS? What have you? So we had artists out here who were, deep in the hustle. It's, as I was saying, as we provided that reach of those on the East Coast, North, South, well, conversely, we were able to put out there these West Coast artists. And again,
Right.
other pools too. I'm just selfish and talk about mine. But we were able to, prove that the local talent we had out here was just as viable. And of course, when the business gets a whiff of any type of money, well, of course, they're going to take full advantage of it.
Mm. I know I was out in San Diego. My cousin, she used to be Navy. So I went out there to pick her up. I flew out there and got there, and the radio station out there, every other record, I think this is around 88 or something, every other record was Ice-T out there.
Yep.
And it was just like, wow. I don't even remember any other artist but Ice-T because he was every other record.
Yeah, at that time, I'm not surprised, especially Southern California. What's so funny is that I interviewed Chris the Glove Taylor. And yeah, you know who he is, of course, but for those who are watching, he was actually, I wasn't going to say he was Ice-T's partner. Ice-T was actually his partner.
Okay.
And we went through a whole story on my 5 Easy because they did breaking. And so, of course, breaking, the first rap freestyle major movie. So the Glove and T were the first major hip hop artists to be in a major movie. Right. So I say that to say this: a lot of times people don't even realize how far back someone goes. Now, so Ice-T, he was brought in '82, if I remember what Chris said correctly, when they made the movie. So then in '88, Colors comes out, and boom, he's just out there. And I think it might have been because of his East Coast notoriety, for lack of a better term.
Right.
So before Cube and NWA and the other, what was once reality rap artists, Ice-T was first.
Right. Nice.
I mean, first from the standpoint of getting that notoriety.
I got the Glove coming up in a couple of weeks, so we'll hear from him.
But tell him he owes me $20.
All right, I will. Yo, so now let's get into your 90s era, your 90s to the 2000. Where are you right now? Are you still actively DJing? Are you more producing? What are you doing?
I am still actively DJing. I'm not actively in the pros from the standpoint of interviewing artists and things like that. Again, my kids in the 90s, my eldest was 4, so 4 to 14. My youngest, he was born in 1990, so he was 0 to 10. So I started to shift away a bit from music in general. I still have my pulse on what was going on out there, especially it's funny, you do a retrospective now. I remember when the New Jack sound was coming out, and that was 89 to about 92, 93. And it unfortunately fell to reality, or, ghetto rap. So, and I don't say that in a derogatory way. Right. I'm just saying, again, where the business saw the money, that's where they went. So I was more of an observer than a participant. But I still spun. I played. There were, I think, 3 clubs that I played on a regular basis, and I would still break artists. Of course, you'd have the guy come up, "Hey man, can you play my cassette? Can you play my cassette?" That's just a staple. If you don't have a guy coming up saying, "Hey, can you play my cassette?"
You
probably won't
wasn't
work your
good.
song. See, you're laughing like you know.
Yeah, you probably wasn't good. And nobody.
It's I've had some diamonds in the rough, and then I had some rough.
Funny. So now, we're going through the 90s into the 2000s. You stopped DJing 2001. Where did you go from there?
Well, where I went from there was basketball coach, soccer coach, just being that
so
dad.
you were dad.
But what's so funny is 2007, my son, Critta, and that's why I'm wearing all his gear, he wanted to get into the game. And I'm sitting there thinking, I had just, DJing, especially at the level where you're dealing with artists, it has a short-term memory.
Right.
And I was thinking all these contacts I had in the previous decade could have helped him. But that's fine. But so I wound up developing him, and he started really taking off in 2010, 2011. He actually moved to LA in 2012. And so I started getting my feet wet again. And this goes back to the humble aspect of me, Danny Dorhmann, because people like Ness remembered who I was. And people like Cheryl Cooley and other artists and other producers remembered who I was.
Right.
And so they would help. And actually, Ness, God bless him, he became my son's uncle and mentor. So from 2001 to honestly today, it was almost like Godfather 3, where every time you get out, they pull me back in type of mindset. And so now, I mean, even like cats like Sway, when my son went on Sway in the Morning,
right,
Sway talked, I don't know, like 5 minutes about what we did for him. And
wow.
And when my son did his 5 Fingers of Death, and really, I mean, he just knocked it out of the park. First thing Sway said was,
karate movie back, Sonny Chiba.
Yeah, he just, because like Sway said, because he's had other artists do it before.
Right.
A lot of them just couldn't, some of them just straight up failed. And there are artists that can spit off the top of their head, and then there are those that need to write. As long as they're talented, I don't care about the genre. I don't care about how they express themselves. But in my son's case, he really blew Sway away to the point where he brought him back a second time.
Wow.
And now we could have a whole segment on my kid. But and actually, I wouldn't mind having a whole segment on my kid because I love embarrassing him.
Right.
But when he came back to Sway the second time, Sway did a rare thing where instead of the typical Sway in the morning, Sway in the morning, Sway in the morning, having artists do that, his crew created one just for my son. And it was using the lyrics he had done in the previous show. And he's never done that for anybody. And he, Sway's interviewed Barack. He's interviewed, name an artist, any artist. But
right.
He created this thing for my kid. That's how much respect Sway has for my son.
Wow.
Yeah. I try to coattail it as much as I can.
We got a question from Jason Hodge. He's saying, what's the one thing that you learned that you had to go through the challenges to learn that made you a better at your craft?
How to be MacGyver would be the first thing that comes to mind. And you're smiling, you know what I'm talking about.
Duct
That
tape and a
moment.
chewing gum wrapper. You got a vehicle.
Yep. Oh, I'm not even talking about a vehicle. I'm talking about a channel going out in your mixer, and now all of a sudden, it's 3 minutes to showtime, and you're breaking out the duct tape and the bubble gum and going by a wing and a prayer. So
yeah.
from that standpoint, the technical standpoint, that was always, especially as a mobile DJ, that was always a challenge between the DJ hunch, and DJs know what that means.
Right.
You're lugging them crates 4 or 5 flights of stairs. Musically, what made me better at my craft was listening to other DJs. And I was blessed to know 2 people who I will say all day long were the influences that made me a great DJ. Michael Erickson, he was the program director, DJ at KMEL and KSOL out here in the Bay Area. He taught me the technical aspect of it, not just, mixing 120 BPM, but mixing keys and changing up it just flawlessly.
Right.
Then the other one, his name was Miguel Fonseca, High Top. And well, now he's Alfonso Starr, and he works with, he does a lot of Prince related, he's pretty big in the Prince community, but he taught me the entertainment part of it. And that, between those 2, you have to know your craft technically.
Yeah.
And you have to know how to entertain a group of 50 that will sit there and say, I dare you to get me to dance. Because getting a crowd of 5,000, 10,000, that's easy. I've done that.
It's contagious. One gets up and the rest of them get up.
Exactly. It's that crowd of 50 that sit there and say, I dare you to get me to dance. That's where the persona aspect of it, you really have to hone that craft. You have to have an identity. I hope that answered the person's question.
Yeah, sure enough. Grand Mixer GMS saying this guy's another West Coast legend.
Oh man, I interviewed him on my 5 Easy Questions, and it's probably one of my greatest interviews, but the sync is off. And I told him I want to do it again. And now you hear me, I want to do it again.
Yeah.
Because
GMS.
Man. And what he's doing with Nasty Ness,
I listened to their show a couple of times.
Yeah. I mean, but they're one of the top, recognized radio segments, internet radio segments out there.
Yeah.
That is nothing to sneeze at. It
pretty dope.
It really isn't. And even what you're doing, we talked about it beforehand, how you got into it, why you got into it, and what you have done, dude. I'm like, wow, I got to go back and watch some of your older stuff because holy man. So that's the other answer to that gentleman's question is listen to you. Because you're pulling knowledge out of people. So get a notebook, fam.
Take a notebook and watch the replays. Give me some views.
Yeah.
I interviewed GMS. Dope interview. Another dope one. And
I have no doubt.
This guy and Nasty Ness, I know they just killing it out there. And when I grow up, I'm gonna be just like the both of them.
Man, let me tell you, you talk about big shoes, especially Ness. We went shoe shopping. I know exactly how big his feet are.
But, GMS saying, let's do it. That interview. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds real good. And for the DJs out there, again, whether you're playing in the club or you're on Twitch or you're trying to do Facebook and not get booted off, whatever the case may be, keep doing what you're doing, because this is uncharted waters. And if you're considering getting into the game, then get into the game. You know, it's you need to really think about playing for yourself, because it is different when you're playing and you're by yourself. You're
Right.
imagining an audience. It is different.
Very.
And you may only have a few people watch you, but that few become greater, 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 and it's out there forever.
Yep.
So you can hit replay. It's going to be new to somebody.
Mm-hmm. We had this conversation earlier, me and Jason Hodge, and my response to that was, I don't care about the large amount of views, just the right people watching it.
Amen.
When you get that, like, I, because of GMS, I got access to all of you guys. So thank you, GMS. He introduced me to Jeff. Got Nasty Ness on here. So now we getting a whole West Coast feel too, along with all my East Coast people, so we can kind of intertwine and learn about each other.
Well, I'll tell you what, dude. Let me reach out. I'm still doing posts on clientele. And actually, I did put out a recent one. My latest one is with clientele. I'll ask him. He loves to chop it up.
Yeah.
Alex Mejia is probably one of the, especially for the Bay Area, is probably one of those. You have these people, and then you have everyone else, and then you have Alex Mejia. And I'd love to get him in an interview. Not that he's turned me down or anything. It's just more of he's such a busy cat. But man, you want to talk about getting knowledge.
Yeah.
Woo. So yeah, anything I can do to help, because dude, like I said, you interviewing DJs, you're providing a opportunity for old school to provide a history lesson.
Right.
And you're giving these new school cats an opportunity to not just learn, but to reinforce that what I do, honestly, what you should do is do for you.
Yep.
And let everyone else just enjoy what it is you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. GMS is saying Alex Mejia is another super legend. We'll get him one day. We'll get him one day.
Dude, I'll hit him up on Facebook later on and just say, hey, man, I'm tired of calling you out. Matter of fact, Alex, I'm tired of calling you out, man. And you owe me $20.
Pay the man. Pay the man.
Exactly. Exactly.
So now, we touched on your show, your podcast a little. Tell us about that, the name and what it's all about.
Easiest thing in the world. It's called 5 Easy Questions. It is, the premise is simple. 2 people talking. And whether it's 2 people where you hadn't seen somebody in a while, you run into them in the street, hey man, how you doing? And blah, blah, blah. Or as I was telling you, if you're at a wedding and you're at that table where no one knows anybody,
right,
and you strike up a conversation, usually within 5 questions, you have a pretty good sense of who it is you're talking to. And so that's the premise. And there's no rhyme or reason to it, really. As I told you, my very first one was with my grammar school best friend, who I hadn't talked to in 35 years. And so we talked. And I've had, as I was telling you, independent film directors, artists, and honestly just what I would consider regular folk, because regardless of who it is, everyone has a story.
Yep.
And I'm fascinated with listening to stories.
Oh yeah. And that's how I feel about the DJs. They all have stories, whether you just started, like we did have some newbie people here, and I told you earlier, it's not about all the superstars like some of you guys are. It's about that DJ that's been out there for 40 years, for 30 years, and nobody's ever heard of him outside his neighborhood.
Yep.
They have stories.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my.
Oh.
When you want to get to the lightning round of the craziest gigs that you ever did, oh man, you want to talk about, I mean, I'm sure that there are DJs out there and they're probably laughing right now when I just, made the statement of craziest show you ever did, or in some cases, how did I survive that show? And I've had both of those.
Oh, look, check it out. Nasty Nessa said he really likes that platinum plaque behind you.
Right there. Yes, sir.
For those who don't know the inside joke, tell them, Danny.
Well, the true inside joke of that is I was at his house, and his house I had never seen outside of a recording or music studio so many gold platinum plaques on the wall. And I saw his, and I said, and I was telling him, man, out of all the people I helped, I never got a plaque. And so he handed me his. And I was like, I hope you're not joking, because I'm taking it with me. So there it is.
He just told me to ask you to FedEx it back to him.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah. Oh, okay, Ness. Yeah. It's in the mail. And and any other in future interviews or anytime you see it up on the wall, it's pre-recorded. It will be gone. But he's funny, dude. Ness. Oh man, I even pitched the idea to him to have the Nasty and Easy show because he's just so friggin' funny.
Yeah.
And
he had a ball when we did our interview. Oh man, it was so funny.
He's hilarious, man. I mean, I'm Abbott, he's Costello. You just throw him softballs, man, and you just wind up laughing from the gut, laughing. Look, he's just so friggin' funny.
Jeff is saying he want one now too.
I'm sorry?
Jeff is saying he want a plaque now too.
Oh well, yeah. Well, you got to go out and do like I did. Oh, and Jeff Kwan, all the people he knows. Come on, man. He's writing a book on West Coast hip hop. So, well, he's writing a book.
I'm gonna get him on here one day. He said he told me no, but I'm gonna get you one day, Jeff.
Yeah.
You gotta come on because you got so much knowledge just from talking to him on the phone. Oh, this dude got knowledge.
He's that
guy. He's
that guy. The only person who I believe has a greater breadth of knowledge when it comes, especially West Coast hip hop, would be Davey D. Cook. He's been on Unsung. He's been on, all kinds of. I'm sorry. Every time I think of Davey, I start getting hiccups for some reason. But Jeff is way up there. And that's why I hope he finishes the book. Actually, Davey just wrote a book, but I hope Jeff finishes his, and I hope you get him on the air, if for anything else, just to try and get the guy to crack a smile.
I heard that he doesn't smile. How could you not smile? Come on.
You'll have to get him on the show and ask him, because he would be a good, arm and leg breaker because he just comes up and he has that monotone that, even when he's joking, he sounds serious.
We gonna get him up here. GMS is saying this whole wall at Nasty Mix Records was plastered with pictures of him and what seemed like everyone in the industry.
Yes, sir. It's like I said, it looked like the Louvre up in that place, and he, yeah, he's rearranged it since then. But when I first got there, I had never seen outside of a record studio so many different accolades, and it's so fun. And as a DJ, yeah, some people know Ness from Rap Attack Lives, his record pool that's 35 years strong now. And of course, as the Nasty of Nasty Mix Records. But as a DJ, he is amazing. And the people that he has helped is, just like I said, you don't get these plaques up on the wall just because. This is in recognition of what you did as a DJ. And to have that, is amazing. But even for cats who have been in the game, as you said, cats that certainly, no one's heard of me outside of my house,
Right.
in all honesty, and I'm cool with that. It was never me to try and be that guy. People in the business who knew who I was, people who, because at the end of the day,
people needed to know. The right people needed to know who you are.
Well, out here in the Bay, it was a competitive market. And so when you're trying to get into a club, it's usually the same cats that are vying for that. Or if a DJ, let's say, because I had to do this a couple of times, one with Michael Erickson, and one with, his name's Maceo Henry, where if they're sick or, hey, Danny, easy, can you fill in for me on this? To have that type of confidence or respect to trust your baby because they can't do it.
Right.
Is, that goes back to, the people, the right people know who I am. A few of the wrong ones do too, but yeah, it's okay.
DJ Prince Ice has said, you got my $20. So you owe him $20? And oh, yo, hold on. I got this in the mail today.
Okay.
Oh man, bro. This is from, let me put my screen full. This is from DJ Prince Ice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is a signed copy. You can see my light right there.
Man, it looks like a resume.
It's signed copy from that dude.
Yeah.
This record is so dope. Now I'm scared to open it. Could you send one? Could you send one without writing?
Yeah, send one without,
so or and play it.
Yeah, or Ice, send one without the cellophane and write your man. That looks like a resume on there.
Oh, this is so dope. I looked in the mail. I seen this thing.
But Ice is another cat. He and Alex, they were, as I was saying, off camera, when P1 started mixing, and it was Michael Erickson, the godfather of getting mixes on P1 radio out here. Where he and Cameron Paul were the vanguard. You had Prince Ice and Alex Mejia were the mainstays that legitimized mixing on the air or having that's where the record came from, was probably one of Ice's segments.
Yeah.
But to have that type of talent that's out there, and that I mean, these cats are easy to reach. Hey, we're DJs. We love talking. So having them and listening to their stories,
Yeah.
it's, and just, I am in awe of DJs, old and new, because at the end of the day, I think we're all frustrated musicians that don't know how to play an instrument. So you just play two turntables,
Play somebody else's record.
play somebody else's record, but you create your own sound by doing that. One of my favorite mixes, because I usually was an ad hoc type. I never really did two mixes of the same, except for one with Darcy, Sign Your Name. Use that instrumental, and then on top of it put Michael Jackson's Remember the Time, a cappella. So you create your own song by doing that. And that's the beauty of being a DJ, is to have that creativity of taking somebody else's creativity and making it unique to you.
Oh man, I was just like so in awe when I seen this thing. So thanks, Prince Ice, bro. Just in awe.
Yeah, and when you send your $20 to me,
I know, right?
Hey, Venmo, Easy D 2020 at AOL.com, Playboy. I'm easy. Literally.
Oh man. So where now, when this virus hit, what were you doing, and did it affect you? Did it affect what you're doing or were doing?
It did professionally. It didn't affect me. I had been doing my 5 Easy Questions for about 6 months into before the virus hit. And when it did, I put little snippets out there, not really funny, haha, but, and as a military man, I'm sure you'll understand this, how you joke about serious things because they are so serious. And so I did 5 easy uses of duct tape, for example. And I did a bikini wax, and I made a glove, and, made a mask. And, basically, took that, that over there disease, because that's how I thought about it. And I'm sure a lot of people did too. It was an over there virus.
Yeah.
Then it came here. And so from an interviewing standpoint, there were a lot of people who were freed up.
Yeah.
So I was able to talk to them. But, and this is also not just artists, DJs, and so on, but, helping people get through this thing, whether it was a phone call or a Zoom, or, texting, or on Facebook. And that was what I was doing. There were a lot of DJs that, or a lot of entertainers that, they were hit. My kid was hit, and fortunately, he had the wherewithal to, take advantage of the various things out there to help. At the end of the day, a DJ is a small business owner.
Yep.
So they had things out there to help small businesses survive. And then Twitch, for a DJ who just has this pent up desire to play, gave them an opportunity to do so. And I think that's probably, out of this terrible circumstance, one of the best things, two of the best things to come out of it well, three. In no particular order. Me, yeah, I came out of it on the other end, and my family.
Yeah.
Two, DJs and entertainers being able to play. And as I said, whether they reach an audience of 6 or 600 or 6 million, they have that ability.
Yeah.
And the third is kind of a combination of the two, surviving during this. We're on the tail end of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to, sit and throw my mask up the air and say kumbaya, free at
Right.
last. I've been vaccinated, and I recommend everyone do that, please. I had a cousin who was touched by this scourge, the whole, in the hospital on life support, the whole shooting match. So,
Yeah.
I could be that living PSA. I digress. Most DJs do. But they come out on the other end and come out better for it. Seeing, I'm reading feeds where DJs are starting to, perform in clubs again. They're starting to set up gigs again. And, and that's great, that they were able to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And if there are people on here who are still trying to, stay afloat, whether it's mentally or financially, just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And perform, even if you're performing for your pets. Perform. Just keep. Yeah, as a DJ, I can't help but think about music. Yeah, I haven't touched a turntable in official capacity. It'll be 20 years, but I still listen to music, and I think about how I would mix a new song with an old song, or so on and so forth. Look at that. Look at that.
The turntable cam.
Man, look at those
We
beauties
are
right
live.
there.
Oh man, look at that.
Look at those beauties right there. I mean,
As soon as you
those.
said it, it made me remember I had a camera that was on my turntables.
Yeah, and rightly so. They deserve. As a matter of fact, now Ice, you got to send him another copy so he can grace it on one of the turntables.
I'm scared to open that.
I know. I don't blame you. You don't want the plastic to, the cellophane to mess up. So, all 6 of my fans.
6 fans on the regular.
Hey, man, you've already doubled your viewership then. Yeah, man. Look at that. 8. 6 becomes 6 million. Can't make $1 without making 15 cents. So you just do, like I said, my 5 easy, what you do. We talked about this offline.
Yeah.
To me, as much as I would love to have tens of thousands of viewers, I'm cool with the viewership I have because I'm doing this for me. This is my release.
I tell everybody the same exact thing. The viewer, I get enough for me. I get enough for me, and I'm satisfied. I get to hang out with you guys for what? We're on for about an hour now, and talk and interact. I can see what GMS just said right now. I hope you're not calling me beautiful, even though I am.
Well, you are a handsome cat. I wouldn't know. I think he may have been referring to the DJ camera. I mean the 1200 shot, because those were some beauties right there.
Actually, those are I was a Gemini person. Those are Gemini 1800s.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, yes. I see the difference now.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't get a close up right now, but those are Gemini 1800s.
Okay, okay. Well, for all of you DJ purists out there, forgive me. I'm old, and the picture's like this big. So if
I
I
know,
mistook
right?
it for 1200, yeah, yeah, get off my tip.
I had mentioned the virus thing because a lot of people lost a lot of things, but a lot of people
I'm sorry.
gained.
Can you hear me over? My neighbor
Yeah,
decided he wanted to mow his lawn.
yeah. I hear that in the background. I heard some
Okay, it's not
motorcycles go by.
overpowering, is it?
No, not overpowering.
Okay, cool. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
I asked about it because some people lost a lot, including their lives, but some people gained a lot. And that's how this DJ interview show started. For again, a cheap plug for me. Next week, well, for those who watching the replay at a future date, June 1st of 2021 will be 1 year that I'm doing this.
Hey, brother, we
Oh,
both froze.
we did.
Yeah,
I see
I,
you clearly.
I thought it was just you, but I'm waving at the camera.
I
I mean,
know.
I still hear you. We could still talk. It was just two handsome devils sitting there.
But I see you and everything. Everybody else sees you.
Yeah, do you see me waving? Because
Yeah.
oh, really? Oh, I'm sorry. Good thing I was just waving then. Because you look, we both look frozen, but that's cool. Please
people
continue.
are people are going to see this on silent and think that you're waving at them.
Oh, Ness tells me I use my hands. I speak. He often criticizes me, but that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's saying my hair beautiful. Thank you. I got that Don. I gotta do my Don King. I gotta find them glasses that
There
he
you go.
always wore and a cigar.
Oh, brother. Yeah.
Down with Don King.
Yes, yes. But I interrupted you, fam.
Oh,
You were
yes.
talking
I,
about,
I was talking about
the.
how this DJ interview got started.
Mhm.
And it was because of the virus and people, DJs specifically, didn't have nothing else to do. So I thought this was an opportunity to let them tell their story. Because like I was telling you earlier, it's not like uh, people are banging down DJs' doors to interview them, but they all have stories. Some of them don't want to tell them, but some of them do want to tell their stories. So I thought it was just a prime opportunity just to get this thing going. And a year later, we're still going strong. You know,
No,
they,
dude, this is, I tell my son, everyone needs a shtick to separate themselves from the pack. Mine is five easy questions.
mm-hmm,
Yours is what you're doing right now, DJ interview. It's
yep,
something that is refreshing. It is specific, and you're right. There are DJs out there. Like I said, oops, man, see, got so excited, I dropped the camera. Oh, there I am, I think. I can
yeah,
no longer see me nor you. Hold on.
I see you.
Okay, well, as long as you can see me, I can no longer see either one of us. Um, but as I was saying, that we all have stories. We have that story. And regardless of what that is, I emphasize that story. They're mostly hilarious. Or it's one of those where it was a terrible thing, but you could laugh at it now because you got through it. And it's different for DJs as opposed to artists and musicians because we have a unique skill set. We
Right.
have a unique circumstance, either before, during, or after a gig.
Mm-hmm.
That, yeah, it's unique. It's something that you can hear maybe similar horror stories. Oh, a fan, threw an egg at me during a gig, or my I broke a guitar string as I was playing a solo. But not many artists or musicians can say, yeah, I was doing a boat cruise and all of a sudden people started pulling out 45s and shooting at each other in the middle of the bay. That's that story.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, it was an interesting gig.
Wait, would you mind sharing that story? This
Huh?
is. Would you mind sharing that story?
Sure. I mean that's pretty much it. It was a boat cruise. It was about 75 people, maybe. It was a good sized yacht.
Okay.
I forgot what the event was. If it was I think it was a birthday. But and those in the Bay Area have done boat cruises before, I'm sure. They get on the boat, they circle the bay. It's about a
Yeah.
3 hour thing.
Here they
So
call it. They call it the ride to nowhere.
you know what? That's what I call it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's the ride to some money in my pocket. So I'm like, okay, it's unique where you have to set up your speakers and everything else. Most
Yeah.
boats don't even have the gear, so you have to be creative. But this particular one, it was a birthday. The boat was multi-level, and I'm playing, and all of a sudden it's pop, 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 and
Wow.
then pop,
On
pop, pop
on a boat.
on a boat. Yeah, now honestly, everything after that was a blur.
I can imagine.
Well, no, because what had happened was luckily it was when we docked and people were leaving, which is usually the time you get craziness. Club closes and someone spills a drink, and next thing you know, well, I'm saying it like it's every day. Yeah, but them streets, they'll come out and it's like, oh, you stepped on my shoes. So it was one of those type of circumstances, but it was still, there aren't many places you can go when you're on a boat.
I know.
And so even when it's docked, you really only have one way of getting off that thing. So, but as I said, that's an example of a story that's unique.
Yes.
To a DJ.
You and every DJ I interviewed got stories. Oh man.
And I'm going to go back and watch. I'm going to watch some of your other shows. You've piqued my curiosity.
Yeah.
Because I love hearing, well, as I said before, I love listening to stories, but I love listening to DJ stories in particular, because you'll sit there and say, yeah, man, yeah, brother, been there, did that. Or, like these new kids, and they'll talk about comparing the equipment of today versus
the controllers. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't DJ interview slam. So God bless them. They're making money. I'm not going to hate. It's just the equipment of today. I don't think I could get used to, and and that's just me, because you can carry an external disc, or actually all you need is a Wi-Fi, and you have access to pretty much every song. Whereas, as
on the fly.
On the fly, where you're back in the day, you're setting up your crates. You had that one crate that you could never forget, and then you had the other ones that you built around it. But even then, you only had
you only had what you had.
You only had what you had
at the time.
Exactly. And
I couldn't download an album, and I know you see these things. You cannot get that on an MP3. That beautiful cover, the words in the background, who made the record, the producers, where they mixed it down at. You cannot get that on an MP3. Some people, that's very, very valuable information.
Right. Oh yeah, I mean, even just often people will talk about the sound, digital versus analog, and and I don't claim to be an audiophile. However, I do know, and this is the difference for me anyway, with digital. You can play a song that let's use even an old school one. It Takes Two. You could play It Takes Two digitally, and it will always sound the same.
Yeah.
You could play It Takes Two. It will sound, there will be a difference even between turntable one and turntable two, the same record,
Yeah.
because you have the stylus is going to be different. Every time it plays, it's going to go into the groove just a little bit differently.
Hmm.
And it's that richness, it's that nuance that, as a DJ, uh, I guess I am an audiophile because as a DJ, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Uh, and again, but this is the difference between how we made a living then versus how DJs make a living now.
Yeah.
And they're getting paid. So, and actually, if you want to talk about the subject of DJs and paying,
Yes. What
yeah,
What is your thoughts on what DJ should charge? Because we've had these conversations throughout the year of you know charge this. If everybody charged the same, then they're guaranteed to get some higher pay. But that one DJ that charges the $200, the 150 for 6 hours, kills it for some of the other DJs who's charging more. But what if that DJ just needed that money at the time to pay a gas bill, to pay a car note, to pay a cell phone bill? So it's been an ongoing debate here at the DJ interview. What's your thoughts on it?
it's what the market can bear. Your talent should speak for itself. And yeah, I've done shows for thousands of dollars. I've done shows for a couple of bucks in gas.
Mm.
It's Each circumstance was different. Honestly, that is not as big a problem for me as the promoter or the client asking you to do it for free,
Right.
not taking into consideration all the things. I mean, even the new age kids that just bring in a laptop and just plug and chug. But if there was a flat rate, uh, you know what you're worth, and you know what you need the money for. And even, you said $150 for 6 hours. What is that? That is roughly $25 an hour. And, there are folks, we're just now talking about a living wage of $15.
Yeah.
So, from a financial standpoint, hey, you're the one that's got to put food on the table. And yeah, you would probably love to get, 500. And there are those who, they'll get nickel and dime. The person that's used to getting $1,000 a show, yeah, they got to worry about the kid that will do it for 500.
Mm-hmm.
But they also fall into the category, the client, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And so if you feel you're worth $1,000 a gig, then charge $1,000. And, and for these new kids out there, you need to have a hold the line dollar amount, where it's just either it's not a cost benefit to you anymore, or a matter of pride, well, whatever the case may be. Because people are always going to want to negotiate, and it's rare when the client wants to give you more money than less. So, so
What do
you
you
have
charge 500? No, I want to really give you 800.
exactly.
Would you take that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're not charging me enough.
Yeah.
But conversely, if you're asking for 800 and they come back at you at 5, It's your choice. You know
Yeah.
what your value is. Now, for me, early on, well, not early on, since I retired from 9 to 5 work, I've come to realize that my time is worth something to me. There are
Hmm.
only 168 hours in the week. And if you spend an hour complaining at Comcast because your bill was too high, I've seen, and I used to do this too. I would waste 45 minutes to an hour over a $10 variance.
Right.
And so I'm sitting there. One day I just sat and thought, and I said, you know what? I probably spent $100 of my life fighting over $10. And so I say that to say this, that your premium should be constant. If you want to put a premium on playing, if you want to put a premium on, just chit chatting, I mean, because I'm loving this.
Yeah.
And to me, you're adding value to my life because of the exchange. There's a charge, you can look at it, if you want to break it down to a number, and maybe that's what some of these DJs need to think about is, if you're spending 2 hours dickering over $50,
Right.
maybe that's not the best use of your time. Or you're having a great time. Client says, "Hey, man, can you give me another half hour?" Uh, you know, are you going to be that guy that says no unless you kick back a couple of more dollars?
Right. I charge 100 an hour. You got to give me 50.
Exactly. But see, that's what ruins your reputation. That's what
Yes.
gets around. And
Sometimes you can do favors. Prince Ice is saying it's all about how big your name is. If you pull mad folks because your name draws them, charge accordingly. And I totally agree with that.
and that's actually I won't say paradox, but yes, that's where you have to know your worth,
Yeah.
because for a Prince Ice, a promoter's going to know what you're going to bring to the table, and that being people. And that's going to put, whether it's money at the gate or from the bar or whatever the case may be.
Right.
And so, yes, it would be embarrassing if I were doing a show and I said, you know what, Ice, yeah, I'm doing this show. I'm going to have 1,500 people there. We're going to charge, $20 at the door. And, I'm going to pay the security guards $800. I'm going to pay the bartender $1,200. But the main attraction, man, can you do it for $5?
Mm.
That type of thing. And so, but it's mutual. Yeah, it's you as the artist, you as the commodity,
Right.
and then the client. And if the client wants to take advantage of your rep, well, now it becomes a challenge of, well, I mean, you're the one that decided. You're going to hold the line. No, I'm not going to do this for less than a dime. Or you're my boy. Hey, let's do a split at the door. It's always going to be about negotiation. But back to the original question of a standardized, that's not realistic. There is no industry where everyone gets paid exactly the same. There's minimum wage, but other than that, and God in heaven, that took about 100 years to get that set up. So you are worth whatever it is you figure as a value to yourself. And
Right.
then the cost for the client, whether it's a wedding or a club or a whatever the event is, an opening for an act. My boy Russell Gatewood and Chris world famous. They are world famous out here. Boy, they open for acts all day long or play in between. You know, they have played with superstars. So they know their value, and
Right.
the client knows their value. So dude, it's a case by case. I guess that in a very simple way, a very simple question and a very simple answer is a combination of what the market will bear and what you feel your value is, not
Right.
what somebody else's value is. Let the client decide what somebody else's value is.
Right. So, guys, put your last questions in for Danny Easy D. We're gonna start wrapping this up. I really want to thank you for stopping by and dropping some knowledge on us about things that happened back in the day, especially you know some of us East Coast people don't know how it went in the West Coast. So this connection that we have, thank you, Jeff Kwan, for setting all of this up. GMS, Nastiness, all of you guys, thank you for having that West Coast connection so we can learn about what you do or how you did it, because we did it differently in the East Coast.
You did, and just really quickly, in addition to the shout out you just did, for those who are watching, share this.
Yes.
And because it needs to get out there. This is a true grassroots type of environment, as anyone really, entertainer of any sort. We need to share this. We need to share each other's stories. It's amazing. And just really quickly, because I know you're on the clock, but you can do in one tweet. When I was throwing shows, you can do in one tweet what we used to have to spend thousands of dollars on in promotion, in flyers, in radio
Street teams, everything. Yeah.
Exactly.
Lots of phone calls.
It is. Oh yeah, lots of phone calls, lots of passing the flyers out in the street. In one tweet, there is such an opportunity for DJs who are listening, whether they're listening now or they're listening on the rewind. It all can start with this underground buzz. You have so much that is available if you record yourself and put yourself out there. That you should have a visual resume ready. Half hour, 45-minute set.
Your EPK, yep, your electronic press kit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm even just talking about if DJ up and coming who lives in Biloxi, Mississippi. He may be the second coming of DJs. And that person should put together a half-hour set. If he doesn't want to do a weekly Twitch, he or she, a weekly Twitch or Facebook or whatever, should just have something encapsulated and throw it up on YouTube and then promote it. That's what I do with 5 Easy. But that's how you get exposure. Share this. Everyone watching, share this. I certainly will.
Yes. Thank you. Everybody watching now and the replay. Oh, so one last question. Well, this might be the last question, depending on how you answer it. For a DJ who's coming into the business, that since you brought that up, one of the DJ that's coming into the business, they don't have no connections, nothing.
Hold on one second. Yeah. Monster. Hello. Every call's a conference call in the Dorhmann house. Karen? Oh, thank you very much. Okay. Yeah. We all love our grandson and oh God, killing me. Monster. Karen, close the door. My house is not that big, really. Oh, 1 second.
Go
Cheaper.
ahead. Go ahead. You can only get this on live. I mean, those of you who watching the replay, you can only get this on live.
Oh, man. Every call's a conference call in the Dorhmann house. Yeah, believe me. So even it's a whole different conversation. So please go ahead with your last question.
The question is the DJ that's up and coming, they don't have any connections or anything. What do you tell that DJ? How would you guide them?
Well, I would say first and foremost, if they don't have any connections, they are strictly a lone wolf. They're totally isolated. Everyone has a connection somewhere. I often say, and this not even just DJs, but entertainers in general, Instagram is where you get fans, Facebook is where you get clients. Right. And it's, one of the earlier tricks I did with Facebook, I made it a goal to get 5,000 network friends. And I got there. It took me about 3 months, and I would just keep pumping it up. Yeah, I just got to 1,000. I just got to 1,500. Got whatever. And so, and these connections, maybe somebody is, a friend of a friend, maybe a promoter. Yeah. As you and I were talking about, we have, shared acquaintances that are in the business that we didn't know. And now we do. Or, for example, Alex Mejia, that I know him. Now, I'm going to reach out to him and browbeat him into doing an interview because he's just holding on to that knowledge, like his last chip. But those are the connections that are out there. Sometimes you just got to start looking because it is out there. The internet, again, it's, social media, social platform. Now you got to choose your battles. You want to go to like-minded individuals and hear their stories and their suggestions. So that would be my advice, is there is no such thing as there's a difference between a connect and a connection. And connects are usually harder to get. And again, see, I'm retired, so it doesn't matter to me. But in the Bay Area, for example, it was usually the same top tier DJs. And so we were a little selfish on the connect because that may be a gig we lose out to or a club we no longer perform at.
Right.
But a connection, Johnny hears you at the club, or Susie heard of you from this interview and caught their interest. So the other thing, I guess, in line with that is knock on your door. Hey, man, I'd love to talk. I got stories. Here's a perfect platform. It's DJ interview. Can't get any easier than that.
4 DJs, old and new.
Exactly. And that would be my advice is, get your social footprint out there. It's amazing. This is the other thing I say too, for DJs, artists, whatever. You can have a dog run into a wall and get 1 million views on Facebook. The dog wasn't trying to get into the social media business. Honestly, dog runs into the wall, steps back, licks his genitals, and then goes on. He's not even thinking about it anymore. But what got it was the curiosity.
Yeah.
And that's, and to my friends out there, you got to be better than a dog running into a wall. If you're not as good as a dog running into a wall, you may have made the wrong choices in life.
Oh, that's funny.
I was
Well, I want to thank you for spending time with us here and giving the community some really good knowledge. I encourage everybody to share this out. I want to invite everybody to next week where we are celebrating 1 year with doing DJ interviews. This is episode number 72 right here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I've interviewed a lot of DJs, some of them multiple times. I know I got to get some of you guys in again because there's just not enough time. We've been on an hour and a half, and we probably still didn't touch the surface of all the stuff that you've been through the last 40 years, 40 plus years in the business.
Oh, but
So
dude,
thank
we
you.
haven't even I mean, this is your show. I'm sure if the tables were turned, we'd be an hour and a half deep and not even touch your surface, partner.
Yeah. We got stories. So again, thank you so much. How could people reach you and connect to you?
Really easy. Okay. On Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, it is EASYD 2020. Easy D 2020, spelled properly. You can reach me in all of those. On not Facebook. I'm sorry. On YouTube, if you hashtag 5EasyQuestions, I'll pop up. I haven't gotten enough subscribers yet, so I can have my own backslash. So if there's any goal, it's to get that. Otherwise, it's YouTube backslash ABC123 blah blah blah. So, but you can also find me on Facebook where I'll put links. And I encourage you to reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you. I've talked to ICE, I've talked to GMS, I've talked to Ness, and between just the two of us, listening to their stories,
Yes.
either as a professional or individually. I encourage you. I encourage everyone. If you haven't spoken to this man, speak to this man. If you want to chop it up with me, Easy D 2020. As a matter of fact, that's my AOL address. Shoot. Yeah. I'm a pretty easy find.
Yeah, it is fun. When I was interviewing most of the DJs here, even though I'm running this show, I kind of turned into a fan too. I'm looking like, wow, you was in Dubai. Wow, you made a record. Wow.
It's amazing, that wow factor. That is often when I do the interviews, I'm just sitting here like this, and I'm wow. That's why, man, I may have to get you on my thing so I can ask my 5 questions.
Let's do it. Let's set it up.
I got you on tape, partner.
We on videos, streaming to multiple platforms. Somebody gonna call me out.
I can think of at least 2.
Oh man, so thank you so much. DJ Easy D, is that what they used to call you? DJ Easy D, or just Easy
just
D?
like in Here We Go, Run DMC, they used to call me Easy D.
Okay. Oh man, so thank you much, bro. Usually I just kind of end the program with shutting you off and putting on my last logo, but we go out together, 2 interviewers. So this is Harry the Big Dog. This has been the DJ interview. We are here every Tuesday, 8-ish Eastern time. We will see you next week.